The sun continues to shine here at Knockhill, perfect racing conditions, and it's the first race of the Scottish Sport and Saloons, which is lined up behind me, and two familiar faces, the two people battling for the championship on pole position and second on the grid. Number one car, Gary Watson, last year's champion, and I want to have a quick chat with him if I can. Gary, good start to the day with the pole position, but championship-wise it's not as straightforward as that. It's 18 points between you and the car behind you.
Yeah, I mean, the only way I can do it is if Stuart White fails to finish in a race, and he's been pretty reliable this season, so that's probably unlikely, but we'll just have to see how it pans out.
You never know. He has had a few issues. He's had to sort of limp the car home a few times, so it could all fall back into your favour. We've got, what, 4 races left this year? Yeah,
I mean, it's all still possible, so you've got to go out with that attitude.
You've been the victim of the half points a little bit, haven't you?
Yeah, well, we were the victim of half points at Croft, and we'll just have to see how the last two rounds go, because we're on that verge of only racing for half points as well.
Good stuff, good luck. I'm going to move back and speak to the man who's challenging to win this championship. He's in fact leading the championship, and I'll squeeze past if I can. All right, how we doing? We'll come around this way. Stuart, second on the grid, 18-point advantage in the championship. Are you just going to stroke it home, finish second?
I think that's the plan. I think just try and keep the car reliable to the end of the season. It's getting to that point in the season where things could go wrong, so yeah, just going to bring it home.
Gary says that you need to have a DNF for him to win the championship. Would you agree with that? It's not that likely.
He's probably right. I do need to not finish, so I've just got to take it easy and try and get the full points for the class and bring it home.
It's a real sophisticated bit of kit, this. I mean, reliability-wise, there's been a few issues this year when we've seen you having to limp home. Is that playing in the back of your mind? What checks have you done?
You just got to try and check everything you can, eh? But I mean, things do crop up when you're out there for 10 minutes, giving it full flipping beans for 10 minutes. So you just don't know, eh?
Good luck.
Right, cheers, thanks.
There we go. This should be an exciting race. I'll hand it to Richard, and he will take you through the full starting order.
Scottish Saloon and sports cars on the grid. Multi-class race with Gary Watson on pole, Stuart White alongside them, Phil Duncan and Mario Kara on row 2. Robert Drummond and Alex Bruce completing the 3rd row. Back to row 4. On the inside it's Paul Neville, then Alistair McGowan and Mark Dawson. Joe Shuttleton 10th ahead of Stuart Haston, he's the Mazda pole. Then Paul Curtis in 12th. 13th on the grid is Norman Nicol, second of the Mazdas. Gary Waite next. And then Alex Dobby in the Mallock Mark 20. Alex Dobby just getting the one flying lap of qualifying, and the one out lap I should say, so not getting a time. So he's got a bit of work to do from the back, but Gary Watson and Stuart White on the front row of the grid. The 4-wheel drive car gets away well, but he's not going to beat the Class A2 machine, or is he? Yes, he is. It's side by side down into Duffers Dip. Gary Watson takes the lead in the 2-wheel drive. Class A2 Westfield, 2.2 litres beneath the bonnet of that car. Up into 3rd goes Phil Duncan. Then in 26, Mario Kara in Class A1. There's Alex Dobby in the blue Mallock, starting to thread his way through the field. He's already passed a couple of cars, which is good progress for him. We would expect that car to make his way through the field. Philip Duncan at the moment in 4th place, down behind Mario Kara in 26, coming down into the hairpin for the first time and gets it sideways. Off onto the dirt goes the Stuart White 70 car. Wave yellows here because we've got problems for Alex Bruce and Joe Shuttleton. Bruce with the sole tyre on the 20 car, the all blue of Joe Shuttleton. The 3 Mazdas managed to negotiate the problem, thanks I guess to the wave yellows alerting them to the problems. Alex Bruce has got a fair bit of work to do. So Stuart White in car number 70, championship leader, 270 points, playing 252 of Gary Watson. They're in separate classes, as you heard Joe make the distinction. Class A for cars on racing tyres, A1 for the 4-wheel drive cars, and Class A2 for 2-wheel drive cars. The championship very much a head-to-head between the reigning champion Gary Watson and Stuart White in the Ford Escort Cosworth. Stuart into the hairpin, a great shot you see there. From this angle, a really good view of how much of a climb it is. You have to come to the circuit really to see it, or get a good onboard shot. if you haven't been to Knockhill, I say it many, many times, I make no apology for saying please come up and watch the racing here. It's a fantastic day out, and everyone at Knockhill make you feel very welcome indeed. Put on a great show as we look at car number 29, Robert Drummond, trying to get past Philip Duncan. Duncan in the Westfield, one of two Westfields, of course. Gary Watson in the 2.2 litre Westfield, Philip Duncan in the 2 litre car, so giving away a few cc's to the man that leads the championship. Philip Duncan third overall in the championship and second in Class A2. And A2 has been hit, as you heard, by half-point syndrome. When there are less starters in the class, if there are not enough starters in the class, then you don't score as many points. So Stuart White's probably benefited from having a better entry. But I've got to say, I think A1's probably been the slightly more competitive class in terms of strength of driver ability. I'm taking nothing away from the guys in A1. But Gary Watson has had to work hard. There is Gary Waite in the Escort Cosworth, the RS2000 of Paul Neville. Nice to see that there, could run in the classics as well. So up towards Carloop Corner, and Gary Watson very much on his way. Fastest lap for him, 53.247 seconds. That's the 5th place car of Alex Bruce, the blue Mitsubishi Evo, the salt tyre on the side. Of course, we got an unnecessarily sideways view of that at the hairpin earlier on at the end of lap number 1, and he's going to find himself a lap down before too long. A puff of smoke out of Alex's car as they come up across the line. So he's in 5th place, the race leader coming up behind him. But here's Philip Duncan in the Westfield, past the 2 Mazdas, and making progress. Heading up, his next target's going to be the Escort, going up and over the hill. Good dice between the Mazdas. Norman Nicol putting in a little bit of a challenge, but back to Gary Watson. A masterclass from Gary Watson once again. He's lapped Alex Bruce, you can see that now. And he's probably thinking about that checkered flag and wondering where Stuart White is. I think the answer at the moment, Stuart White running in 3rd position. There is Gary Watson though, on his way. Philip Duncan's 4th. He's the next car that Gary Watson needs to lap. I'm not sure Gary's going to have time to do it. We'll keep our eyes open for Philip Duncan and see whether that's going to be the case. Robert Drummond in the Escort Cosy slowing down, so problems for him, but nursing the car home. Wants to try and get the points in Class A1 as Gary Watson goes on to the last lap. Robert Drummond running 5th in Class A1, so it'll be some points for him if he can nurse the car home. But it's Gary Watson on the last lap into Scotsman Corner for the last time. Another superb drive, fastest lap, pole position, and another win, chasing the championship. Is he going to be able to make much of a dent in the lead of Stuart White? I think the answer here is probably no. It's going to be 25 points for the win. It was round 6 where he picked up the half points. Second race of the away day, and there's Philip Duncan in 4th position. So Philip Duncan in 4th, ahead of him in blue. As we said, the smaller engined of the 2 Westfields. I don't think Philip's going to be lapped on this occasion, but Gary Watson, the reigning champion, is going to take another win. He climbs up a hill. There's Duncan in 4th. He's got another lap to do, and there is Gary Watson, who takes the win. Who's going to be in 2nd position? It's a big, big gap back. 5th position in the race is going to be Alex Bruce. He's the next car up across the line. Here comes Alex, chasing him hard to the end. Gary Waite, who's going to finish in 3rd place in A1. There is Gary, followed by Paul Neville in the RS2000. And there's some smoke at that's Stuart White's car. Stuart White's got a smoky problem. He's got an engine problem on the car. He's going to try and nurse it up the hill. That could affect him in race 2. Stuart White's going to take 3rd place. Alex Dobby has pipped him for 2nd, so it's Gary Watson from Alex Dobby and Stuart White. Let's hope that's not terminal for Stuart White, because that will be a non-start and no points, never mind half points. Gary Watson takes the win in round 11 of the championship from Alex Dobby. Stuart White 3rd, and Philip Duncan 4th ahead of Alex Bruce and Gary Waite 6th. Paul Neville comes home 7th from Joe Shuttleton, Mark Dawson. Alistair McGowan 10th from Robert Drummond. Mazda winner Stuart Haston in 12th, and he finished ahead of Paul Curtis and Norman Nicol.
And the winner for who knows how many times this year, Gary Watson, it was so close to being exactly what you wanted with Stuart White's misfortune, but he managed to get across the line.
Yeah, well, he's
not that we wish bad on anyone.
Well, absolutely not. But he's been very fortunate this season with when things have gone wrong, they've gone either just wrong at the right time. He's had enough time to get them fixed. But yeah, I'm not sure how the race has unfolded behind me.
Well, he was second, so you've clawed back 5 points at least.
Yeah. Well, I was happy to try and win the first race of the day because you know, I'm sitting third in the SMRC championship, so that's a good result for that one.
Good stuff. Well done, and let's see if we can make a change in this championship later on this afternoon.
Let's hope so.
Alex, third place man home in what is a wonderful looking car. Firstly, how was the race for you?
Well, it was great considering I started from the tail end of the grid. Gary actually helped me out with the brakes. The brakes he's solid, so I only had 1 lap practice. And that was it. The race was great. I was really pleased to finish. This is the first time this car's finished a race. I've only had it for 3 races now.
Yeah, I've never seen it before. If we can pan round and have a wee look at this, tell us a little bit about this machine.
It's a Mallock racing car, Mark 30. It's got a 2-litre Vauxhall, normally aspirated on Webers. It doesn't have any fancy fuel injection or anything like that, but maybe I'll do that over the close season, who knows.
I imagine it's a bit of a handful already around this circuit.
Oh, it is, but you know, the old ones back in the 80s when we raced them, they didn't have as much power as this, but I know the circuit quite well, so that's part of the reason that I get round there quickly this time. But actually it was lucky as well, because a lot of the guys went off, and as I say, thanks to Gary for helping me out with the brakes.
So you've got to be in it to win it. Great drive, and wonderful to see this lovely looking car up here.
Thanks very much, thank you.
Welcome to another episode of Racing No Filter. Joining me in sunny California, Bill Wood, and down in sunny Florida, Peter Keene.
We're going to take a look at some of the products HPD has created for the 2012 Honda Civic, and specifically we're going to show you how to install an adjustable sway bar.
Until then, folks out there, you take care.
Want to keep up with all the racing action at the track? Well, download the new GoRacingTV iPhone and Android app. And remember to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
The final Scottish Sports and Saloon race of the day is lined up behind me, ready to go, and we are missing somebody in third place. It's Stuart White, our points leader. He had a mechanical problem at the end of the first race, which you probably saw, and he is unable to take the start of this race, as far as I know so far. So let's have a chat with Gary Watson, if I can squeeze in here. Gary, pressure's on here. This is an opportunity to turn the year around.
Yeah, it's a big opportunity to turn it around, so yeah, we'll just need to be sensible.
You need to be sensible, but more importantly, no matter whether it's first, second or third, you need to get to the finish.
Well, I do, yeah, but I need to maximise the points on this because you know, we don't know what's going to happen at the last event of the year, so.
It's going to make it exciting. It certainly pulls it back to level.
Yeah, well, if I can manage to win my class, it should put me 7 points in front, so it'll be all to play for at the next one.
Sounds easy, right?
That sounds easy.
Good luck. There we go. Richard, I'll hand it to the tower, and you can take him to the starting order.
Elementary, my dear Watson. Elementary mathematics for Gary Watson. Championship-wise, he lines up on pole. Alex Dobbie alongside a gap where Stuart White should be. Philip Duncan on his outside. Alex Bruce and Gary Waite on row 3. Then it's Paul Neville, Joe Shuttleton, Mark Dawson, Alistair McGowan, and then Robert Drummond and Mazda poleman Stuart Aston. Paul Curtis 13th, Norman Nicol alongside Mario Carra, non-finisher in race 1. He's there just hiding behind the ambulance, ready for the start of race number 2, the Scottish Saloon and Sports Car Championship. 3 on, 4 lights on. So Alex Dobbie and Gary Watson on the front row. Watson gets away well. Dobbie gets a bit of wheel spin. Phil Duncan pulls out of the slipstream. He's passed. He's into second. Is Dobbie going to lose third? Yes, he is. He loses that place. Gary Waite's come through. So Dobbie with a bit of work to do as he go down Duffer's Dip for the first time. Alex Bruce is in 6th place. There is Joe Shuttleton in car 11. And it's a sideways moment for Gary Waite. He's on the grass. Can he rejoin? Alex Bruce is passed through 2. Goes the 29 car. We've got the RS 2000 going through of Paul Neville. Well, it looks like another great start from Gary Watson, who was counting his chickens before they're hatched, if you ask me. He might get a non-finish. Alex Dobby has recovered well and is challenging Phil Duncan as they come down into the hairpin for the first time, side by side. Look at the Clubman's car. Look how well engineered and set up it is for racing. Round the outside line, it sticks to the outside line like glue, but he can't quite get the power down. He's giving away a few CCs, remember, to Philip Duncan. 2-litre car versus 1700cc car, the Mallet being the 1700cc. Nice to see the comparison between the two machines. Of course, the Westfield predominantly the kit road car, and the other one manufactured for racing. As Escort off into the gravel again is Gary Waite in 59. Might be looking for a rallycross career. Up his inside goes Robert Drummond in 29 and Paul Neville in the RS2000. So good start, Gary Watson away, and Mario Kera making good progress through from the back of the field in this, our second 12-lapper of the day. Mario Kera in 26, you can see already up into 4th place. That's the white car chasing down the two Class A1 cars, the Mario Kera racing, A2 cars. He's already passed Alex Dobby. Now he's got a set chase about Phil Duncan. Alex Bruce in 5th place goes through, and down Duffer's Dip. Mario Kera, good to see him back out on track after the non-finishing race. Gary Watson's away down the road. He wants his points. He wants a 7-point lead. Bitter disappointment though for Stuart White. I mean, he nursed the car home for 3rd place in race number 1, as you saw, and a non-start here, not what the doctor ordered at all, unless it was Dr. Watson. Enough of the Sherlock Holmes gags. I think the references will do away with those. Here we come, up through Carloop corner, and Alex Dobby putting pressure on Mario Kera. Dobby second in race number 1. It was A2 first and second, 4th place as well, but Class A1 looks like it might be biting back here with Mario Kera in the 26. Car goes wide, and up the inside goes the Clubman's. Side by side now, the question is there, did Mario Kera in the Evo see him? It's a much, much lower car. Big difference between the two cars. Can be a bit scary, can't it, I guess, with these bigger, higher up cars and the lower one. You've got to be so aware of the different types of machine that are racing in the championship. There goes the RS. Sun shining still here at Knockhill. Sun a little bit lower down in the sky. We go back and have a look at the two Mazda men. Norman Nicol on the inside line, on his outside Paul Curtis in 95, and Stuart Hastert, class winner from race number 1, ahead of them, and already about to be gobbled up by the race leader. The blue flags telling those guys to hold their line, which they do very well indeed. Gary Watson up and away in his white Westfield, and already down to Scotsman corner, absolutely flying. And of course he's got to deal with the slower traffic, as Robert Drummond has a problem. Robert Drummond, I think, is going to be out of the race. We've lost Gary Waite already, so Drummond is out of the proceedings as well, which reduces the number of Class A1 cars. That's going to help all the other guys in terms of point scoring. So here's Gary Watson, reigning champion. Nobody at all to trouble him here. Philip Duncan looks to be a little bit closer than he was in the first race. Remember, he was very nearly lapped in the first race. In this one, he is dropping time, but not as much. That's the significant thing. And Joe Shuttleton, he's in 6th place at the moment. 2nd in Class A1, so it's going to be some decent points for him. He's in the top 10 of the championship. He hasn't entered a lot of the rounds. Did our first 2 events, and this is the first time we've seen him since then. So a top 10 in the championship could be a very good reward for Joe Shuttleton. So he's running well. Behind him on circuit is the Class B1 1900cc VW Corrado of Mark Dawson. Shuttleton within arm's reach at the moment of Paul Neville in 5th position. Neville running in B1, as is Mark Dawson. This is Neville's first outing in B1, championship led by Mark Robson. Mark Robson, who is not here this weekend, but did the first 2 meetings of the season. But Gary Watson still streaking away with this one. As we said, he'd done the maths already. He's pretty confident in his own mind the car's going to get him to the finish, and it certainly looks that way. This has been superlative again from Gary Watson. Down towards the hairpin, nobody to trouble him, just the occasional back marker to have to deal with, and he's dealt with those absolutely superbly in car number 1. You can see why he's the reigning champion. Is he going to be able to bag the title again this year? He probably wouldn't have expected that when he came to Knockhill this morning for signing on, but he's going to go away with 302 points to Stuart White's 295. It was 270 playing 252 the other way. Coming into the meeting, as we see Paul Neville now lap the Mazdas. I think it's going to be the top 4 cars that are going to be on the lead lap by the end of things. At the moment, that's Watson, Duncan, Dobby and Bruce. Through goes Philip Duncan. Here is Alex Dobby in the Clubman's car, about to lap Mark Dawson. But Gary Watson continues on his way, not putting a wheel wrong. The best times for the other drivers. The nearest driver to Gary Watson is Duncan, second on the race, 55.093. So that's 2 seconds slower than Gary Watson, who is coming up now towards his last lap. So Watson, absolutely elementary for him. So I wouldn't do that again. He's on the last lap, so it looks like it is going to be championship lead for Gary. Out of the chicane, down towards Clark Corner for the last time. It's going to happen on Paul Curtis. It's going to be the 3rd time to be lapped. Sorry, not Paul Curtis. Norman Nicol in the 91. The blue Mazda is past. He's 3 laps down on the race leader. We saw him have a gyration earlier on. And I wonder if Gary Watson will have a gyration or 2 in terms of a donut to celebrate. I suspect he probably won't, because most drivers get fined for doing that. So the last lap board comes in, and the checkered flag goes out for Gary Watson, who takes the championship lead for Class A2. There is Norman Nicol. He is classified in 11th place, and look at the gap. We wait. Who is going to come home second? Phil Duncan, as they came around on the last lap, was second. Up across the line now will be Paul Neville. He is 5th in the Ford Escort RS 2000. Joe Shuttleton is in 6th place crossing the line. It was a big gap back to Phil Duncan, who did take 2nd place. But here's confirmation for you. Watson takes the win and fastest lap. Duncan 2nd. Alex Dobby 3rd from Alex Bruce. Paul Neville in 5th place. We saw him cross the line ahead of Joe Shuttleton, who is 6th. 7th, Mark Dawson. 8th place, Alistair McGowan from Stuart Haston. Paul Curtis in 10th and Norman Nicol in 11th.
And the winner, Gary Watson, 8 points, championship lead going into the final round.
Yeah, first time in the lead this season, I think, so yeah, good place to be.
It's when it matters as well. I mean, anything can happen. It's only 8 points. It can be over like that, obviously, when it comes to 25 points for a win, but it's looking good.
Well, it is. We've just got to hope there's going to be enough A2s turn up at the next meeting, so otherwise we may just only get half points if there's, some people may
That'll
not.
help you.
Yeah, well, you've got to have 3 or more or you're only on half points, so.
Turns into a battle of maths, doesn't it?
Well, unfortunately it could. So we'll just have to see. We'll maybe have to speak nicely to 1 or 2 people and see if they'll come along.
Well done, a successful day in the office.
Yeah, excellent, thank you.
Well, there we go, folks. That's all we have time for from Knockhill Racing Circuit. Please join us next time for a lot more exciting action.